This might just be the vault I think is better than Simone's. Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is Bray. I'm a former elite and all-American gymnast, and I'm currently a gymnastics coach and judge. Look, a lot of people keep asking me, why are you comparing Simone? Why are you doing blah, blah, blah? First of all, people have asked me to do this. They've asked me, do a Simone versus this or this? But I also like to compare Simone to a lot of vaults because it's a compliment to Simone. I've been on the Simone choo-choo train pretty much this whole analyzation series, and it's all been to compliment Simone. I'm literally comparing her to everyone that people are, one, asking me to compare her to, or two, people that I can think of, because I'm proving just how good Simone is. So that's why I'm doing this comparison stuff. And I think Simone is an excellent person to anytime be compared to because she's so phenomenal. So that's why I've done this series, and people have asked me to compare Rebecca Andrade's vault to Simone's vault, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. This specifically, we're going to be breaking down Rebecca's vault just between the technique and such. I'm going to, in a later video, be doing a Simone versus Rebecca, but I genuinely believe watching this video, I think Rebecca has the better Cheng vault than Simone. Now, again, I might be pronouncing this incorrectly, so my apologies. Somebody taught me how to pronounce it, but I'm still not certain I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I'll just call it the Cheng vault, and hopefully, I'm not trying to offend the person that actually invented the vault because that's probably not how you say her name at all, but that's just how I'm going to pronounce it for video's sake, and we'll go ahead and jump into that in a second. Like I said, I think this vault is better than Simone's, but I'm going to get into why I think it's better in that comparison video that you'll see in a week or so. But for this, I want to specifically dive into Rebecca's Cheng vault because she has a phenomenal Cheng vault. And I am so mad at myself that I've never really watched her do it. I've never really appreciated her vault. And oh my gosh, Rebecca, number one, she's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. But her gymnastics, it's so, so good. So let's go ahead and get into her vault right now. Okay, let's watch it in regular motion first. I mean, just absolutely spectacular. Okay. Oh, there's a hair on my computer. And we're going to pause. Okay, going back. First, so I said this in Simone's vault. Your run is the most. It's so important. It's so important. I won't say it's the most important thing, but I might say that it's the most important thing in your vault. Obviously, if we're walking, like we're just taking a little stroll in the park on a Sunday afternoon, if we're just walking into our vault, I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know. Also, if you hear some noise, my 3-year-old's like right there. I can like see and hear him, but like if the mic is really good and it picks up everything, I'm pretty sure I can hear my next door neighbor. So if you hear him, my apologies, but not really. I have a 3-year-old. I'm not going to apologize for that. We're doing our best here. Okay. Working mamas, we're here. Okay. But going back to the run on the vault, I would argue the run is the most important part of the vault. And then everything after that is very important as well. But if you're not sprinting towards that vault, girl, what is you doing? What are you doing? We got to sprint. We got to sprint like the devil is chasing us, okay? We are gunning for it. So that's exactly what she does. She is a fast runner, using all of her speed and momentum to begin this hurdle right here. My favorite thing to do when I analyze people's vaults is I'm like, how far away are they from the vault or the board whenever they're hurdling? And usually they're pretty far because they're trying to use the place from where they hurdle and that whole, see, 3-year-old, the place from where they hurdle all the way to the jump of the hand mat or the board. They're using that whole area to take all of the force and the momentum that they've gotten and to just initiate it more into the hurdle. So I always like seeing how far they are, and it's just very interesting to me. And I like seeing this stuff because I'll go and implement it for my own gymnast, and I've seen it work tremendously. So notice how far away she is from the board, quite a bit away from the hand mat. And then notice where her arms are. Now her arms are hurtling up and stretching forward to go onto the hand mat. See right there, the hand mat, and then she does a strong kick over. So you're gonna notice this leg. You can't even see her other leg. Kind of looks like she only has one leg. Okay, right here, so that she's a righty. So that left leg is what's going to be kicking her off the ground. I'll back it up. Notice that left leg needling right there. And now it's kicking right over her head, and then her right leg will join her like a little bit after that. And then right here you see in her torso, that's when her hips are going to be turning towards the table and the board, and her eyes are obviously looking at the board to start the round off, or at least to finish it, I should say. Then right here, you also will see me have analyzed and broke this down in Simone's vault. You're going to pretty much notice everybody's technique is the one in the same when it comes to girls that you're watching at Worlds or the Olympics, because they have to have good technique in order to even be able to do those vaults at the level they're doing at. And that technique normally is all the same. It might be a little bit different here and there depending on height, speed, strength, whatever. But generally, I always have a hard time saying that word. I want to say genuinely, but then it's supposed to be generally. I don't know what's wrong with me. Generally, that technique is going to be the same throughout. So you can see right here, her hands and feet are completely in the air because she's pushing off her hands quickly in the round off, where she's able to snap her feet down. This is great. You never want your feet to be on the board at the same time as your hands being on the hand mat, because that's just going to create that triangle angle, and all of our power is just going to be killed. If you know physics, you can understand that. So we want our momentum to be moving with itself. So it's important to snap off your hands and snap your feet down. And at some point, you're going to be in the air at the same time, which is exactly where she's at. So awesome. And then right there with the X, that's obviously where her feet are going to be snapping down to. Once she actually hits the board, you're going to notice her start to turn immediately. She has to start that turn immediately because she has to be able to finish that turn enough to be into the forward entry position that she needs to be, which I'll get into in a second. And this is why this is a very difficult vault too, because if she is not doing this turn correctly, she's not going to be able to do the entry to the front handspring itself correctly, and the whole vault's just going to go to garbage, right? So it's so hard to also not want to twist super early on the board. You'll see a lot of girls that do this vault that are inexperienced or they're having technique issues. They'll turn super early on the board, meaning before they've even touched the board, they're already turning. Well, then that's going to take away your power from the round off, because if you're not finishing the round off, you can't get all of the power and the momentum that the round off has to offer to then do the half turn to the front handspring. If you're doing the round off and you start twisting early, well, you've taken away this little area of power, which is going to be really difficult then to do the half turn to the front handspring. So again, you have a very small margin of error on this vault, but just in gymnastics in general, which is one of the things that makes gymnastics one of the hardest sports in the world, is just the very minimal area of error that you're allowed. So she had to have been able to finish this vault, or finish the round off, I should say, before starting the half turn, but still, as soon as she finishes the round off, knowing she's got to get to that half turn quick to then start the front handspring. So really, really difficult. Now, as she does that half turn, she's going, now, this is the front handspring shape that I was referring to. She has to have finished the round off well enough where she gets all the power from the round off, but have started the half turn early enough where it allows her to get into this position. Do you see why this vault is so difficult? Zeesh, can never be me. So here she is in her front handspring entry. This is beautiful. This is such a good front handspring entry. Compulsories, level 6, 7s, anybody flipping a front handspring vault, welcome to the entry that you're gunning for. Welcome to the entry that you should be visualizing before you go. Notice this orange line. See, she's at a slanted angle. She's not right over the handstand. Again, if you know physics, you know this is the angle you need to be at to then project this way. You don't want to be in this angle because then it's going to project this way. So this is the exact angle, and even a little bit before, some of you will be before if you're doing flip vaults. Oh my God, I'm going to do a Haley Bryant vault. That would be awesome because she has one of the best front handspring vaults, I think, in the world, dare I say, but it's up there. So, so glad I thought about that. Thank you for that. But this vault right here, or maybe even a little bit before that, like that's what you need going into that front handspring vault. And this is what level 4s and 5s, that entry you want, because if you're getting into that entry, you're going to be able to block to handstand and you're going to get very minimal deduction. But that's another video for another time. So here's a great slanted entry. Now look at her armpits, and I drew a square around her upper torso, her chest, and her upper back, and an X at her armpits because the armpits are completely open. Right here, like I said, I drew this little square rectangle around her upper body because I'm trying to also emphasize that area on her whenever she's doing that front handspring has to be as stiff as a board. Has to be really strong, really tight so that she doesn't just crumble under her own pressure. So it's really important that her armpits are open like you see it, and that her whole back and chest and shoulders are super strong and her elbows are super strong to make sure she's optimizing her block as much as possible, and that she's able to take that angle mixed in with the block, mixed in with her power, but take that angle and actually go up from it, and to get the most block out of it possible and the most height, which is what you'll see. But it's so important in a front handspring vault that your torso and your armpits are open, flat, tight as a board, so that you can do a good vault. Moving on, as she goes out of the block, you can see boom. Again, this is the vertical vault that level 4s and 5s and 6, 7s in a front handspring vault are gunning for, that same entry, because that's what's going to block you exactly up to vertical, and that vertical is the 0/10 deduction range. So here she is blocking right up to vertical. She's slightly arched, but that's because she needs to be to then start for that heel drive. You'll notice her hips and her chest are completely open. Her armpits are open. Her arms are up. She's essentially setting herself up out of that front handspring, so she has to have her arms above her head. Moving on, bro. This is so good. It's so good. First of all, look how high she's off the table. And again, we all love my handy dandy measurement. That is just not probably accurate at all, but it's a good measurement for our eyes. But she is 5 of those tally marks above the vault. She's probably, ideally, or realistically, she's probably blocking, I would say, like 4 feet off the table. That's a lot. If you don't know gymnastics, let me just assure you, blocking 4 feet in the air off your hands, like, it's a lot. It's impressive. But it's absolutely necessary too for her to do the vault that she's doing. And so notice how flat her body is. Like, this is so like textbook picture perfect. And notice where her arms are going. Her arms are now going to be pulling inward to start the twist. So she brought them from upside to inward to start that twist. Right there, you see that red lines, just again showing that flat body. Now as she starts the twist, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Would you just look at it? Look how high she is off the table. And again, it's our perspective, but I mean, it's just almost going out of frame. And see, as she's pulling those arms, it's really important for those arms to be tucked in. That's what helps your twist. And as she comes out right here, she can see the ground. So she knows that's when it's, oh, that's my chair. Okay, stop. But she can see the ground. So now she knows, hey, it's time to open up our arms. It's time to start opening up our hips. Time to put our feet in a certain position. She is seeing the ground with her eyes. So she starts to put her feet exactly where they need to be in accordance with her hips and with an angle of her hips to ensure a stuck dismount. You can see her hips are going to start slightly piking / also kind of like bending, because she's trying to make sure she's coming down at the right perfect angle for physics to allow her feet to just plant right where they need to be. And notice how her arms are flared out. Think of them as like whenever your airplane is landing. If you've ever been on an airplane, you see those flaps come up on the airplane to kind of slow it down. That's essentially what your arms are doing. They're airplaning arms to kind of slow her momentum down out of the air, so she can slow herself down at the right time to be met with the right angle where she can just exactly land where she needs to be. And you're going to see that as she opens, and boom, perfectly stuck. Like, she did everything right. She opened up at the right time. Notice that it's her right arm starts opening up and the left arm's already open. So really the left arm is opening up first. She's opening up her airplane arms right here. Then the right arm meets it. She sees the ground. She knows that her hips need to stay a certain openness, but not too open, so that she doesn't land short. And they're just perfect. And that's what allows her feet to land right underneath her hips, where her momentum will now take her chest up to be over her hips enough to allow her feet to not move. And there you have it. That is so good. I, am becoming a really, really, really big fan of Rebecca Cheng. She is a very, very talented gymnast, and I'm really excited to keep analyzing skills of hers and just get to know her gymnastics better. But that is the breakdown of Rebecca Andrade's vault. Much respect to her in this vault, and I hope that you guys gained another level of respect, not just for gymnastics, but for her in this vault as well. Thanks you guys for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel and like this video to help me out. I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye!